extra, read all about it. Get your copies while they last. Stop the presses.
And now for something completely different.
Are you ready for a little truth? Are we not entertained? Wisdom is the proper use of knowledge and experience. There are no safe spaces here. The truth shall make you free. It's showtime! So you want the truth, but can you handle the truth? Well, here's another fine mess you've gotten us into. Now that's entertainment. Enlighten me a little. What you say is quite logical. And what did we learn? Prepare yourself for a little sensory overload. I came here for the truth. 47 years ago. Stand by the roll show intro. Roll show intro in 3, 2, 1, go.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
Hello, America, family, friends, listeners all around this planet we call home. This is the Craig L. Hayes Show. I am Craig L. Hayes. It is the 21st of March, 2025. And we're going to have a little chat about a couple things today. Well, maybe a couple things. Absolutely one thing. And that one thing is going to be what I'm going to call this episode as a constitutional crisis. It sounds forlorn, doesn't it? And it is. What's going on in this country right now with Donald Trump writing all these executive orders and trying to do the work that he's doing, we are definitely into a constitutional crisis. But it's not Donald Trump causing the constitutional crisis. In fact, Donald Trump, and we will discuss some of this, is probably the most law-abiding and constitutional following presidents we've ever had. In the years that he's been president, and then the 4 years he wasn't, he learned more and figured more out about the laws, the Constitution, everything about what's going on in this country. More than anybody, even these constitutional teachers and professors in Ivy League schools and stuff. No, the people causing the constitutional crisis are leftist, Marxist judges who believe they have the authority to tell the President of the United States how to conduct business as the chief executive of the United States government. These are activists. They do not follow the laws. They do not follow the Constitution. And actually, because of the people who nominated them, they are in direct conflict with the Constitution because they were nominated by someone who detests the Constitution, who called it an archaic document of negative rights. And that's a president. His name was Barack Hussein Obama, who nominated these judges that are interfering with the President of the United States today. There is no constitutionality to anything that they're doing. In fact, one of them said that some of the things that Donald Trump is doing could be unconstitutional. Well, if they are unconstitutional, why don't you say exactly what they are right now? And use that in your stupid ass ruling where you think you have authority as a district, a little tiny area of the country, a little tiny part of this country of a few 100,000 people or a couple million people or whatever it's going to be. That little tiny segment of the country that you have jurisdiction over as a judge for the federal courts, you think you can tell the President of the United States, who is the president of the entire country, what he can and can't do. You are not only an egotistical ass, but you're also an activist, Marxist, out of your mind, liberal whack job. All of you guys. Who in the United States government has final say and authority over immigration law? That is the President of the United States, not a court. Courts are set up to review deportation orders. But using other laws that have been on the books for over 200 years, the president can deport terrorists, seditionists, invaders, anti-Americans, terrorists out of the country immediately without going through any court process. It's funny to say that the law that they're using, if I can remember, it's like in 1797 or 1787, whatever it was. I think it was John Adams when he was president. It was put into place to deal with people who are doing un-American activities and stuff. It is something that can be abused. Like any law, anything that goes on in this country can be abused unless it's followed very closely to the original intent of the law. So, for a judge to sit there and say that law could be unconstitutional, really, John Adams, who put a law on the books, and the people that were in Congress, these are the same guys that were delegates at one time to the Constitutional Convention that gave us the Constitution of the United States that we live under today. But then they decided, well, we don't like what we just did, so what we're going to do is make a law that violates the Constitution that we just bled and died for. See how asinine these judges are? Can you just visualize in your head, and now all my stupid liberal friends who are Democrats, and if you're a Democrat, you're stupid and you're liberal. And if you're a liberal, you're stupid and you're probably a Democrat. Or you're a Marxist, you're a socialist, you're an anarchist, you hate America because you can't love America and be a Democrat. It's impossible. It's impossible to love this country and say, but I'm a Democrat. This judge and the 4 or 5 others that have been harassing and trying to stop President Trump from doing what we sent him there to do is causing a constitutional crisis. This judge is a scumbag, just like the rest of these liberal leftist Barack Obama and even Clinton and George Bush appointed judges are, so many of them are just such scumbags. They're loyal to the ideology of the Democrat Party, which is the Democrat Marxist Communist Party. and the ideology of Karl Marx. They use the Constitution to destroy the Constitution. That's what Democrats do. They are always true to the party and almost never true to the Constitution. The Democrat Party has decided that they are going to use these judges because they are more concerned and care more about terrorists, criminals, murderers, rapists, drug lords, drug sellers, pushers, people who commit all kinds of crimes in this country or who are here illegally, take over apartment complex, sell drugs out of the back of cars, poison our families, poison our children. The Democrats care more about them than they do about you as an American citizen just trying to live your life in the country that you are a citizen of. That's how destructive the Democrat Party is. That's why they lost the last election. That's why we sent Donald Trump and kept the House and Senate and said, we need this country to be fixed. 4 years of Biden destroying it is enough. Isn't it amazing that Donald Trump is following the laws? He's following the Constitution as granted him as executive of this government in Article 2 of the Constitution, faithfully and to the best of his abilities. Well, we had the senile geriatric dumbass sitting in there for 4 years, violating federal law, using the people's money to bring and fly people into this country from other countries as illegal aliens, opening up purse strings to these illegal aliens to house them, clothe them, feed them, educate them, medicate them. And let me see, how many of these judges were able to find a way to say, hey, you can't do that. That violates the Constitution. That violates the law. That violates all these things. What do you think you're doing? Not one of these SOBs said a thing. These guys that wrap themselves in lawyers' robes and pretend like they are far superior to any of us intellectually or legally minded, they aren't. They're nothing more than scumbag Democrats with a robe on them, dictating scumbag Democrat policies and ideology and trying to enforce scumbag Democrat belief systems on the rest of this country. We've had 4 years of that. How'd that work out for us? We've had 100 years of this progressive, liberal, socialist crap from the Democrats and from some a-hole Republicans for 100 years. How's that worked out for us? And finally, we get a guy that's going to say, enough. I'm shipping all these criminals out of here. All these illegals are leaving. My loyalty is to the American people. My allegiance and my love is for the Constitution of the United States and for the laws of the land. We're going to enforce them. And we're going to take these criminals and put them in prison if they're U.S. citizens. If they're criminals from other countries, we're going to get them the hell out of here and send them back to their countries where they belong. And these judges, these Democrat, remember, Democrat, they go, oh, they're nonpartisan. BS. They are Democrats, full-fledged Democrats. Have found a way that they believe that their rights are being violated. Please show me anywhere it says that illegal aliens have any rights whatsoever in this country. Because you came here illegally, all of a sudden you have the right to free speech, you have the right to free everything. No, that's not the way it works. I know in the minds of Democrats it does, but the minds of Democrats are pretty small and shallow in their processing. In fact, I think a paramecium has more brain power than most Democrats that I know. Because they don't operate on thought, they operate on their feelings. You have to remember something very simple. All these judges that are doing these things, the system's going to work its way through the court system, but I have no faith in the Supreme Court either. Because John Roberts, as far as I'm concerned, has been the biggest disappointment piece of shit on the planet ever since he took and he fixed Obamacare and told the American people, well, this law isn't right, but let me work on it. And he went and fixed the lines that needed to get fixed. And he said, okay, now it's fine. That violated the Constitution right there. He decided to become a legislature. Do you see what's happening here? These judges decide they want to become legislators, not legislatures. And they want to become the chief executive or president of the United States. They believe because they have a black robe on that they suddenly are far smarter and far more important than the people who write the laws and the people that are supposed to enforce them. And the judges are only supposed to interpret them and say, yeah, I think there's a problem with this. You might need to fix this by doing this and this. That's all they're supposed to do. Not tell the president what he can and can't do. So they're supposed to point out that this is unconstitutional or it violates the law, and write down the Constitution it violates and write down the law and say, there it is. That's all we have to say on the matter. So you as president and you as legislature, you guys need to get together and figure this out. But no, we have them telling them what the remedy. I love the word remedy. What is the remedy for this? Well, you have to do this. We order you to stop doing this. Me in my little tiny courtroom, wearing my pretty little black robe. I'm a snowflake liberal Democrat judge, and I have to tell you that, yes, I'm only in this little tiny part of this country, in this little town, but I'm going to tell the entire country what they have to do. Hey, go to hell. If I'm President Trump, I'd tell him, hey, go to hell. You get nothing. We're not following you at all. You're infringing on my authority. You're trying to seize my authority. I will not let that happen, so go to hell. You can make all the rulings you want, and you can sit there and try to say, well, this will happen and this will happen. Hey, go to hell. You get nothing. Yeah, but that sounds like what happened with President Biden when he was trying to do this student loan stuff. BS. See, this is the problem with you Democrats. You Democrats try to draw a line between illegal behavior on your guys' part, Biden's part, to legal actions taken by a president. Joe Biden raided the Treasury, violating Article 1 of the Constitution that Congress will authorize the funds. Unless Congress says the money has to go to something very specific, presidents can usually use that money in a couple different ways, or stop using it or send it back to the Treasury. They have a lot of say what they can do. But Joe Biden had not been authorized any way, shape, or form to pay off student loans. And yet he went and found money and took it out of the Treasury and paid off student loans. That's a direct violation of Article 1 and him overreaching his Article 2 powers into Article 1 and it's violating the Congress and what they're allowed to do. Donald Trump, to draw out a comparison, is following the laws. He's following the Constitution. He has constitutional authority to do everything that he's been doing so far. And yet a judge wants to pretend like he's president. Or judges want to pretend like they're a collection of presidents. John Roberts, you're the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. You are the Chief Justice for all judges in the entire country. You are their boss. Why aren't you straightening out these pieces of garbage, judges, going over to them and slapping the crap out of them and saying, listen, stay out of Article 2. You have no authority there, so stay out of it. But he believes like they do on a lot of things. Because he's just as despicable on these things. Amy Coney Barrett, you're a complete disappointment too. Donald Trump put you on there believing you were a constitutional justice, and you would follow the Constitution. We know we have 3 traitors to the Constitution that have been put in there by Democrats. By Obama and by Biden. They are absolutely traitors to the Constitution of the United States. They are loyal to the ideology of the Democrat Party and to violating the Constitution. They don't care about the Constitution. And John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, you decided that they may be right on a lot of things. You guys get it right, like when you overturned Roe v. Wade. And then you turn around and you screw it up so bad on these other things. Telling President Trump he has to follow some lower court ruling and spend money that's being spent on things that are against this country through the USAID. A first-year law student would be able to see the error of your ruling. And yet, you did it anyway. I don't care if you like President Trump. I don't care if you don't respect him as president. I don't care. You know what? You swore to uphold the Constitution. And as Chief Justice John Roberts, you're supposed to be correcting the stupidity of all judges below you. You're basically like the CEO of the judicial system. And these people are running rogue all over the company. And you're allowing it. And then when it comes before you, after the time period, whatever it takes, you rule wrong because you don't like President Trump. Get over yourself. These are the type of people that make it obvious that we need to have term limits on Supreme Court justices and all kinds of justices. So, these are things that need to happen. And to tell Elon Musk he's not allowed to see certain things when he's being sent there by the President of the United States, you know, here's what it is. Okay, you're running Home Depot. President Trump is now the CEO of Home Depot. And he's watching stuff go on in the company, he pulls up records and stuff. He goes, man, there's just some weird stuff going on. I'm going to find an outside contractor to bring in some forensic accountants and find out what's going on in our company, because we're selling a lot of stuff, but we're not making any money. And it looks like we're spending money on all kinds of crazy stuff. And so you do that. And this outside contractor finds all these crazy things that the previous CEOs have been spending money on. And you say, we're not doing that anymore. Stop spending money on this crazy stuff and start bringing it back into the company so it increases our shareholder value and it makes it good for the people who invest in our company. There's no difference between that and the federal government. President Trump is the CEO of the federal government. He's brought an outside contractor in to find where all the crazy spending, waste, and fraud is going on. And then the more we find and the more it's brought to him, he starts telling people they're fired, tell people they're fired, get rid of this one, we're not spending the money on that. But these a-hole Democrats who like the money laundering system they've been participating in go to judges and say, you have to stop this. And judges say, fine, we'll do that. We're going to stop him from not spending the money and firing people and getting rid of people that aren't doing their jobs, and we don't need them. What if Trump was the CEO of Home Depot and started firing people because they were doing poor work? Stop spending money, and all of a sudden an outside judge came in and said, hey, you're not allowed to do that. You can't stop spending money on these crazy programs, and you can't fire people for not doing the job that they've been hired to do. We would say that's a lunacy. That's crazy. We can't do that. If your CEO of Home Depot can do anything he needs to make the shareholders more money, as long as it's within the laws, as long as it's within the federal, state, local laws that they're being followed. The same thing for the President of the United States. There's no difference there. President Trump, I'm with you 100% all the way on these things. Don't stop. Don't stop working for the American people. We have a lot invested in this country. We pay our taxes. We pay more than our fair share of taxes, I believe. We are the investors in this country, and you're trying to save us money and make us so we don't have to pay so much and we have a better return on our investment. We do not accept these Democrat a-hole judges and what they're doing to you. And these other people that are trying to take down Elon Musk by terrorizing his cars, I think we should have not a vigilante squad that protects Elon Musk's dealerships, but we should have some kind of armed force that protects it. The militia. Hey, that's what we should do. We'll just call out the militia. And then we'll solve it with that. Anyways, some ideas. The Democrat Party's evil. The Democrat Party and their ideology is evil. They are the party of violence. They are the party that hates the Constitution, hates this country, wants to see it destroyed, wants it brought down so that they can implement Karl Marx's perfect society on this country. It's called socialism and Marxism and communism. We can't let them do it. Stand up and make it known that you support Donald Trump. You support any conservative Republican that's going to help him in any way, shape, or form. And any Republican that stands in his way will be primaried. We will somehow get them out of there. And then we will spend everything and all of our capital, all our resources, time, energy to remove every Democrat we can from having any kind of authority within any government situation. This country is too valuable to let Democrats run it. The freedom we enjoy is too much to lose letting Democrats destroy it. Stand up and fight. Be a voice for freedom. Be a voice for liberty. Be a voice for your children and grandchildren. Well, that's about all I have to say about this on this subject today. Hope you found it fun and interesting. I certainly did. Anyways, Talbot, take it home.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.